I feel like you said, I feel like the list is going to be similar. But the crazy thing is that the game basketball has changed. So it's like I personally feel we're not going to have anyone past like maybe like 2010 or 2005. I don't know if that's the same thought you guys have.
Yeah, for sure. I think that the big man like today is a lot different from the original big man.
Yeah,
Position.
big men these days are like they actually shoot and all that.
Wait, but we're saying of all time.
Yeah.
Of all time, yeah, yes,
Of all time.
yes, of all time, yeah.
I think it's important that Steve pointed that out because obviously, right, we're talking centers, and today's centers are exceptional, but
Bro,
they
like
have to get their resumes up there. But
Yeah,
right now,
yeah, you feel me? That's what I do. Like of all time, like there's some things that you have to accumulated over the years.
that's why
boom.
this feels like we have to revisit this because if we know that there are guys that are going to enter that list for sure soon, but we'll probably have to revisit this. But for now, we'll just probably stick to what we got. But anyways, welcome guys to the Top 5 Sports Podcast. My name is Chike and I'm your host. I got my boy CY and my guy Steve V in here. And today's episode is an interesting one. We're going to be talking about the top 5 centers of all times. And I don't know, guys, like, what do you guys think? This is one of those topics where it's like, it's because when I was researching it, there was just some guys I was like, man, this guy has a lot of records, but it's like comparing it to like guys like Embiid and yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, please, my bad, please, no, finish.
Just talk about
like
guys like Embiid and like other guys like I don't. We'll see.
No, because
I don't know
because you mentioned Embiid, and Embiid is like one of he was in the top 5, even top 3 MVP. Like in the list of this person. And bro, crazy thing about this top 3 list, top 3 centers, all of them, the top 3 guys are centers.
Right.
Crazy,
and
like,
that's why it's crazy because I was like, this is like the first time we've ever had like NBA centers in the conversation for MVP. Like this is, and it's not because they're like they're traditional centers. Like these centers are like, Jokic is basically like a point guard, but he's just in the center. Embiid is basically like a shooting guard, but he's a center, right? And then Giannis sometimes plays as a power forward. Sometimes he's a center, depending on how you want to mix and match. But that's why I was like, this will actually be an interesting topic to kind of like break down like the top 5. But I guess I can start. And to start off my list, so at 5 I have Hakeem. Now I don't know if you guys have him at 5, but I have Hakeem at 5. If you
sorry to cut you short. Are we doing this like in order, like 5, 4, 3, 2?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? And that's what's going to make the debate interesting.
Okay.
This was kind of like it wasn't too difficult because I was like, okay, I have guys like Hakeem, he was with the Rockets, 2-time NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP 2 times, NBA MVP, 12-time All-Star, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. But what was special? Why I have him at 5 is because he was in an era where Jordan dominated, and the time he won the MVP, Jordan was not there. So there's a little bit of like, leeway for Hakeem, right? Like just for him, there's a little bit of leeway, even though he's still, he's Hakeem, like he's the dream, right? The dream shake, the dream move, everything. But like, I just feel like within that time Jordan dominated, there was like 2 years where he went out of basketball, he decided to go play baseball, and then he was just chilling. And then that was when Hakeem came in and just kind of like took that space and was like the MVP. The Rockets won 2 NBA championships, and I was like, okay, he's great, but it's like that span is still there. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I love Hakeem, man. I think Hakeem is somebody that a lot of people don't give the respect that he deserves. I like it's important. It's why I think that's important to point out is because when you just spoke about him, you also pointed out the absence of the Bulls. But I think that if you look at that Rockets team, I don't think that the Bulls would have stopped them from winning those championships. I think that the matchups would have been bad for the Bulls.
Wow, that's actually interesting.
Champions, regardless.
That's actually a good take. That's actually a good take.
I mean, I think it's important to point that out. My view of basketball, and one thing I always like to say is like, everything kind of happens for a reason, I guess.
Right.
Look at any championship run, there's always that question mark. You know what I mean? Like, oh, what if this guy was healthy? What if this guy was there? But I think that whoever wins the championship, you have to play who is available, who's against you, right? Whoever is in front of you, you have to go through them. So somebody, best teams wins that championship.
Wouldn't you look at it this way, right? Like right after, I may be wrong, but that era was like the Bulls were on a run, right?
Okay.
Like there was this passing of the baton from the Lakers and the Celtics in the 80s to the Bulls, right? And it was like, okay, Jordan just 3 championships straight, right? And then he decided for himself, like, hey, I'm going to take a break. Like, there's no point. I don't want to play basketball. And obviously that was because of his dad passing away. There was just so much going on, right? And
the thing scandal too at that time, remember?
Yeah, right. The whole scandal. And it's like, and it's like, that was the only missing piece, because when he came back, I think it was mid-season where he had the number 45, and then the next year they won the chip.
When they lost
back to back. So it's like that was the missing piece in the team, and if Jordan was still playing, right, and then he played against the Rockets, it's like, to me that would have been a tough matchup. But I see where you're coming from, because the Rockets had a good team. Right?
Yeah,
they had a good team. But
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and we have to remember Hakeem. I know a lot of people are excited with the Embiid, the Jokic, but when you talk about skilled big men, like there's none.
Yeah, that was right.
Offensively, defensively, the guy was incredible, and the Bulls didn't have somebody in that position that I feel could have, kept up with Hakeem. So I think
fair. Yeah.
That team is very underrated. I mean, what Hakeem did as, one of the first people to really lead a team without that second superstar, I think that's something that we also have to show some love to Hakeem.
For real.
Nigeria,
of course, man. Like
he's worthy to mention in your top 5. Definitely.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's
like
fact.
I'm not even the fact that even taking out the whole Nigerian context out of it, like,
oh yeah.
Bro, the dream was
you feel me? Like you can imagine how other Nigerians now looked at you as like, oh shit, this can happen to, like, we can,
right. And he paved
this
the way.
too.
Like he made the way for a lot of Nigerians. Yeah. Well, I have
taking
I have him at 5.
Okay.
At 4, I don't know if this might shock you, but I have Wilt. I have Wilt at 4 because, again, this goes back to errors, right? You know how the old heads are always like, "Oh no, you can't have these guys. They can't play in our era." I'm like, nah, don't do that, man. Don't do that. Like, I don't think the basketball that they play today, like the guys who play basketball back in the day, can match up with the basketball that they play today.
No,
right?
It's different.
Like, it's not.
100%. They wouldn't keep up, bro.
Nah,
they wouldn't keep up. Trust me,
they wouldn't. Like, it's no match, and
because
that's
the
why
game now is very, very fast paced. Like, it is very fast paced. Now, back then it was very post up. Now it's end to end action, like boom boom.
Exactly.
They can't keep up.
Absolutely.
They can't keep up. Yeah,
I'm telling you, man.
We're literally talking about centers that now in today's time do everything. They can pass the ball, they can shoot the ball from 3, they can step back, fade, like they are the whole package now. So like centers from 20 years ago can't even
bro. You imagine Shaq, like, picking the ball from the point and trying to lead trying to lead a game of screen.
One thing I'll say though, I think, I'm with you guys on today's center. Like, they're more skilled, but physicality is important to point out, because one thing with Shaq is, Shaq was a monster, and I think that point out, because I know Shaq in the Lakers is a little different because he's, he was bigger, but you're talking about the Magic Shaq. He could run the floor, bro. He was fast, strong, athletic. I'm telling you, bro.
Hey,
this is
Shaq too.
Before we get to Shaq, because I feel like we all have similarities with Shaq. We're gonna talk about that. So let me wrap up my list. Let me hear you guys' list, and then we can just get that talk. So I have Wilt at 4, 2-time NBA champion, Finals MVP. 7-time NBA scoring champion. Y'all know y'all know the good stuff. At 3, I have Bill Russell. My boy, I know CY is definitely CY is a little bit touchy on that subject. But I'll give it to Bill, because obviously he's basically like the face of the NBA. Like when the NBA started, like Bill was, if you're talking about the OGs of NBA, it's Bill, right? And back then they didn't have like I think it was Finals MVP, so you couldn't kind of like he won like what 11 championships, bro. Like that's unmatched. At 2 I have Kareem, and at 2 I have Kareem. He was with the Bucks. He was with the Lakers. I see why he's smiling. I don't know why. I know that's why I told you, like, this list is gonna get chippy. 6-time NBA champion, 2-time Finals MVP, and you know the history. And obviously at number 1 I have Shaq.
11 straight seasons.
Yeah, number 1 I have Shaq. I think Shaq is now. Why I say Shaq, right, is because I always say with players, right, the time you're given, what you do with that time, how dominant you were, and the impact you made. That's how I rate this an athlete, so to speak, right? How much time you were given, how dominant you were, and what you did with that time, right? And Shaq was like they actually changed the rules because of Shaq. The whole zone defense, because before it was more like you couldn't zone, you couldn't double team players, and Shaq would just get to the paint and just smash guys, and that's how dominant Shaq was. So let me hear what you guys think. Let me hear your list. But that's my list.
No, but
number 1 Shaq, Kareem.
I like Shaq
number
because
2,
obviously 3
Bill, 4 Wilt, 5 Hakeem.
Okay.
I like Shaq as number 1 because as a Miami Heat boy, you know what I'm saying?
Come on, man.
My boy has to rep the whole team.
He didn't even do anything in the finals. Like, it was all
as a Miami Heat boy, you know what I'm saying? I have to take that one into you for me. So yeah, therefore I like that list. I like
your list now. I'm a little bit surprised that
at his positioning, right, where he placed some.
That's listen. I told you. Listen, this is going to be controversial.
So it's going to be a little bit chippy.
A little bit chippy, But CY, what you got?
Okay, for sure. I can go ahead and take it next. For my number 5, man, I think that it's important that, like Steven said, for it to be a top 5 center of all time, like, obviously we think that these people are exceptional. So, like, I think that's important to point out. So I'm just going to tell you where I feel about, what I feel about, how it's ranked. So my number 5 on my list, you want to brace yourself for this, but my number 5 is actually Bill Russell. And I'm going to say it like
what?
That. Hey,
that's why, Steve-O. Remember when I said Bill Russell? And I saw.
No. And I think it's important to point out my number 5, Bill Russell, and I think it's important to point out. I always take certain things into consideration, like when I think of greatness. If you're saying greatness as far as like winners and what have you, nobody, like, he has 11 championships, right? But you have to consider what he had with him. Bill Russell played for the Boston Celtics that Boston Celtics team has 5 other Hall of Famers. 5 teammates of his went to the Hall of Fame. 5 of them. First ballot Hall of Famers, 5 of them. So we have to keep that in mind. So, and mind you, as far as Bill Russell's career, I mean, he has the 5 MVPs, he has 12 All-Star appearances,
11 NBA champion too. Come on, is your number 5?
Wait. I think that as far as an individual, I think he was a great. That's why I said it's important for me.
I see your point. I kind of see why, but that's a little bit low.
The crazy thing is, yeah, his theory kind of like relates to my theory too. With one person I have on my list, this thing he's saying too. That's why I'm like, okay.
So
but
the thing is, I see his point, right? But like, bro, that's hard. Like if you're putting Bill like at 5, like I'm actually interested who you have above him. Like I'm not even concerned about I'm not even. I'm actually concerned about.
I decided to shock you right off the bat.
That's fair. That kudos to you. But I see your point about the 5 All-Stars, 5 Hall of Famers on the team. It's just they're just some guys. It's like saying you ask. I'm trying to look for an example. For example, let's use let me try and use soccer, right? We know obviously today like the GOATs, Messi, Ronaldo, right? But imagine if we had like a list, we said all time, right? And you say top 10, right? But this is the top 5 show, so let's get that out of the way. But top 10, right? And you have Pele at 10. Like that would be like, you know what I'm saying? Like that would be like, But I see where you're going. So go. Yeah, I'm interested to hear the others.
That's why I decided to point out that it's important for us to understand, like, when we say greatness, for me, greatness means like what, or greatest, right? It means what can this person,
11 championships, like
as an individual. 11. As an individual, what can this person like single-handedly? What did they, accomplish? I mean, Bill Russell has those 11 championships, but his other like individual accolades, like. He has 5 MVPs. Okay, great. That's like that's the beginning era of basketball. You know what I mean? Like basketball wasn't as diverse as it is today. Let's just put it that way. So it's kind of like they were winning a lot of championships. The team had 5 other Hall of Famers. So it's kind of hard to just say, oh, you know what? Single-handedly, he's the positive reason for those 11 championships. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Like you're saying, his team
it's not like
contributed to
5 Hall of Fame teammates. 5 of them.
I just want to hear what.
That's more than. Like, let me put this in perspective. That's more than the Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors with Kevin Durant, Steph, Clay, Draymond. I mean, some people don't even think Draymond is a Hall of Famer. I know you're one of those.
That's another topic for another day.
I'm just putting it in perspective for you to understand. Like, it's just like me saying, well, based off of the championships, that makes this person the GOAT. Doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So Hakeem is my number 4. That's why when you talked about Hakeem a little bit, I feel like Hakeem, what he did as an individual. Everybody has teammates, right, and what have you. And in the second championship, they had Clyde Drexler. But the first and the second championship, however you want to think of Clyde Drexler, he's not like the same level of player Hakeem is. So Hakeem was the clear best player on both his championship teams. 2-time Finals MVP, 12-time All-Star, right? He's a 12-time All-Star.
Yeah, about
12 All-NBA teams, 2 Defensive Player of the Year awards, right?
Right.
I know a lot of people are giving, kind of doing giveaway Defensive Player of Awards to Goldberg, but when you talk about a center that could actually,
lock down,
at a whole different level. I'm talking about holding down people like Shaq, Patrick Ewing. I'm talking about the cream of the crop.
And those were these are we're talking about like these are Hall of Fame centers that he played against. Like he was locking them down. Like it wasn't just your like random, centers that are out there. Like we're talking about all-star Hall of Famers that are centers.
Exactly. So that's why I feel like
I like that. I like that.
the level of competition he was going against
Yeah.
is something that I'm really taking into consideration. You know, uh, 9 all defense teams, 9 all defense. I know a lot of people now,
Man, that's crazy.
with the flashy plays and everybody forgets about, but 9 all defense teams, 9. that is
insane.
That's wild. That's
you know
wild.
what I mean? Like you have to put it, and
That's wild.
he
That's
wasn't
quite
just
wild.
giving you defense. This guy was leading in scoring, rebounding. So I'm talking about 2-time rebound leader in the entire league, 3-time blocks leader. So Hakeem is incredible. Like, I keep pointing this out because, like, I know it's hard to say, oh, this guy's 11 chips, but this guy has 2. But if you personally ask me if I think you drop Hakeem in that Boston Celtics team, do I think they'll win those championships? I'll tell you yes. You know what I mean? Like, considering the competition they're going against, I'll tell you 100% they would. You know what I mean? So that's how I kind of look at it. So my number 3, and this is gonna even shock you even more than what I think this is probably gonna be the biggest shock. My number 3 is Shaquille O'Neal.
Oh, get out, bro! Are you kidding
My number
me?
3 is Shaquille O'Neal. I'm about to get to it.
This guy has beef,
bro.
You know I love Shaq.
Oh my goodness!
You know I love
done,
Shaq,
man.
As a person, as a TV personality, I love inside the NBA. Shaq was incredible. But hear me out. Shaquille O'Neal, right? He has 4 championships, 3-time final MVP, 3 championships with Kobe, 1 with D Wade.
1993 Rookie of the Year. Keep going.
He has,
got
yeah.
more. Got more.
One. I'm not like the Rookie of the Year awards. A lot of these top 5 players do have Rookie of the Year awards as well. So I
know, like
NBA scoring,
NBA
scoring champion in Orlando, not the
Correct.
Lakers. Wait, well,
Correct.
in the Lakers, yeah, scoring champion in Orlando, I think.
Yeah, he has 2 scoring championships actually. Shaq. He has 2 scoring championships and 3 all defense teams. So Shaq's resume is incredible. Like I said, all these players are incredibly great players, right? The reason, take for example, I put Shaq above, some of the other people, right? I took into consideration level of competition once again. I took into consideration those, defense teams, the scoring champions, because scoring is, and of course, Shaq is one of the top 10 in scoring in NBA history.
Yep.
So that's something else that I have to put up there. That's incredible. Being able to score. He was a good defender for a period of time. But one thing I kind of take away from Shaq is somebody that, he did not, I guess, expand his prime or expand the length of his prime as long as he could. He played a long amount of time, but at some points he just wasn't as great as he could have been, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, like he had a there was a time where you could see the decline, right? Like it wasn't as if Shaq was getting better. There was like, okay, this is the ceiling, and then what goes beyond that, right? After the Lakers, it was like Shaq became kind of like the second guy in every team that he went to. Like he wasn't really like he wasn't really like the man, right? He wasn't really like the man that dominated. He was just like, okay, this guy is 7'1". He's dominant in the paint. We just need him to do his stuff, right? But that's hard to agree, man. Like how I look at it, right? I look at what again, like I said earlier, like the time you're given, how much you impacted the game, and what you did with that time, right? And even if it was for 4 years, 3 years, I'd say, like that was, to me, that was like Shaquille O'Neal. Like there was no other player in the NBA that could match. There was I can't think of any guy who was as close, because right after Jordan, it was Shaq, right? Right after Jordan, it was Shaq, and then Timmy D started getting into the mix, and then a couple teams were in there, but it was like for 3 good years, this guy was like we talk about like the most dominant center, like bro, they changed the rules for this guy. Right, they had to bring back the zone
remember
defense.
the era this guy played in is a very like physical era, bro. Like they let people just like, okay, let's see how physical this thing can get before we.
Yeah,
bro,
like,
fans and players used to get into like
bro, it was
fight,
like it was almost a hockey game.
So, like so you being dominant in that era, like it says a lot about your like your style of play.
You had him
sure,
at 3.
for sure.
So, yeah.
I think that you guys. I think that you guys make great points. You know what I mean? As far as Shaq, I'm not gonna come here and be like because I love Shaq. So it's hard for me to say because before I made this list, I thought about it. I stood over it and I was like, Shaq, like and I was like, how can I objectively put him over at my number 2? Like that number 2. If you ask me who do I like more as a player, I will tell you I love Shaq more than everybody on this list because I love him as If you like, that's my favorite center of all time. You know what I mean? If I make my personal, just like what do I like? Like, but I'm ranking based off of greatness. Who I think is the greatest, and if I could put Bill Russell as 5, like you could tell, like, hey, I'm telling you as I think. What I evaluate as greatness, this is what I think or who I think are the greatest of all time.
All right, let's hear the rest of the list. Let's hear the rest of the list.
So when it comes to resumes, right? This person, Wilt Chamberlain, number 2. Number 2, boy, oh boy. A lot of people, I think because of the fact that Wilt played in the Boston Celtics, mind you, this goes back to my Bill Russell thing, in the Boston Celtics era.
Wait, Wilt was with the Sixers in the. Oh, you're talking about the era?
Yeah, he was in the Sixers.
Right.
He played in that. He was in the Sixers and the Warriors, right? But he played in that era and what's called Philadelphia Warriors, I guess you could say, right?
Yeah, right.
In that era, the Boston Celtics had 6 Hall of Famers. That's 5 plus Bill Russell. You know what I mean? So what like, and mind you, Wilt's career was super short. I think he played like 15 years in the league, right? In those 15 years, Wilt Chamberlain is like top 5 in scoring of all time. In those 15
he put
years,
up the 100-point game with the
100 point.
Yeah.
In Converses, in All-Star Converses too.
Oh yeah! Shout out to All-Star.
This is the history
Converse.
book. Like you know what I mean? Like this guy is like a real life Avenger that was playing basketball. Like that's how I see Wilt Chamberlain, right? So this guy has 2 NBA championships, right? 1 Finals MVP. Remember, he played with Jerry West as well. So keep that in mind for 1 season. I think he won a championship. With Jerry West.
I think he would. I think
so. 13-time All-Star in 15 years. In his 15-year career, he went to the All-Star game 13 times. 4 MVPs, 2 All-Defense awards, right? 2 All-Defense teams. My bad. He was Rookie of the Year, 7-time scoring champion. 7 times in his career was he the scoring champion.
That's cold, man.
That's 7 times. Now, what destroys this? He has 11 rebound championships. 11. He played 15 years.
Wilt was like, how tall was Wilt? Wilt was like
7'1", I think.
7 something, 7'1", yeah.
Don't realize
I think so,
he was a supreme athlete. I'm talking about high jumping, sprinting. This guy was a freak. Like I love Shaq.
The only issue I have with and I'll let you go to your number 1 after this. But the only issue I have with the Wilt, right, is the gap between the first championship and the second championship, right?
That's the Boston Celtics era. Look at that gap. That's when the Boston Celtics were. How do you want him to beat them? Like this is
that's a fair point.
Yeah. That Boston Celtics team is the Kevin Durant, Steph, Clay, Draymond, Andre Iguodala Warriors plus more.
Right.
That's like plus more. That's essentially what it was. So there's no beating that. Like I don't care who you are, you're not beating that team.
So I guess your number 1 is.
So we're gonna get there. I think that one thing that apart from those 11 rebound championships, because 11 rebound championships is insane, right?
Right.
But another thing that we have to take into consideration, everybody thinks Nikola Jokic is an exceptional passer, right?
Right.
Nikola Jokic is pretty much the best passing big man we've ever seen. But guess what? Will Chamberlain led the NBA in assists for one season. So this guy, they were like, oh, all he could do is score. The next season, he came out and he led the NBA in assists. Do you understand how incredible this?
But you have to definitely consider how the game was played back then, right? Which I'm not taking any credit away from Will, right? Because as a center back then, you were just required to dominate. Right, you're in the paint, like you have no business being outside. You obviously do pick a role, do the screenplays and all that, but you have to consider what was being played back then, right? And I don't know what that team looked like back then, but I assume that they had for him to lead the league in assist. There was probably a model that they created around him where it was just like dink and dunk, right? So,
yeah, but I mean,
it's pretty interesting.
You know, when you think about a lot of these great players, like you're talking about the Shaqs, that they had like a lot of. If you watch a lot of the Shaq games, like in his prime, I'm talking about Orlando Shaq, Lakers Shaq. First couple of years, Miami Shaq. It's pass to the big man, let the big man dominate. If he can't get the basket, he's gonna kick it later, right? In the beginning, it was not kicking out, but later, I'm gonna kick it out to Kobe. I'm gonna kick it out to what's his face. Meta World Peace and all these people and people in that nature, right? And it's basketball as far as like that's concerned from the star big men. Like originally, the game was played inside out, so you feed your big man, let him dominate. I'm talking about the offensively really skilled big men like that, but it's a little bit different now in that everybody's playing from the perimeter, so it's a little bit more. I guess easier to put up those numbers and things in that nature. But Will Chamberlain, being able to create like those many assists in an era where it was, point guard.
So who do you got number one? Who do you got number one? Kareem? I would assume.
Kareem? So my number one is no other than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, right? And I think that this guy is somebody that, and I think history has kind of continued. I don't know how it happens, but a lot of people have kind of pushed him farther and farther away when you talk about the greatest of all time. I think he's definitely in that conversation. That's something that we'll talk about in a later time, but I think that he gets very disrespected in that conversation. So, I think that he's definitely up there.
Yeah, I think. Well, I can't be the top two. The Kareem being number one. I can take that. Kareem being number one, I could take that definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
I think. I don't know about the Bill Russell. That's the most like having him at 5. That's the one like that's the one that
on your mind this whole time. You're just like,
bro, like
this guy gets to number one, so I can go back to this Bill Russell.
Because I have Kareem number 2, right? And if you have him number 1, then that's fine because there's that it's interchangeable, right? Like 1 and 2, that's fine, right? But Bill, all the way at 5, like you went past Hakeem, Wilt, like we I think we can all agree we have the players in that top 5 category. The problem now is where do you rank them, right? That's where I see your list is I like it, but the Bill Russell, bro, oh my god,
like wait,
like that
on.
is
you gotta put a star on that, bro.
That's
I went back and forth, man, between Hakeem and Bill Russell. I'm not gonna lie, I went back and forth, but I was like,
all right.
I really think of what you do on your own, like as the single best player on your team says a lot. And Bill Russell, like we have to keep this in mind. Those 11 years Bill Russell dominated. Bill Russell played, I think, 22 years in the league.
Yeah, right? Around that time, yeah.
Right, something like that, right? So he, those 11 years, and Bill Russell is more of a he's not a great scorer and things like that. Like he doesn't have a scoring championship. He doesn't have those accolades. He's more of a rebound guy. But even with that being said, like in the era where Bill Russell, the Celtics were dominating, if you check what numbers, all these Will Chamberlain numbers I'm giving you are from Bill Russell's era. So as an individual player, when you see how much somebody could dominate that era as an individual, it's hard for me to say.
But at 5 though, that's I don't agree. I could take your list. I can appreciate 41.
My list too is almost.
All right, Steve-O, let's jump into your list. Hopefully you don't get any heart attacks right here, man.
I was gonna give you my reasons for picking Kareem real quick. Before
all right, let's make it quick. Let's make it quick, real quick.
6-time champ, 2-time final MVP, 6-time MVP, 19-time All-Star leaders and All-Star. LeBron King James is coming for him real quick. 15-time All-NBA, 11-time All-Defense, 2-time rebounding champion, 4-time block champion, and he is the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. King James is coming for him as well. But, it just shows you how great of a player Kareem Abdul-Jabbar has been. And I think that, just to put in perspective that it took this long, and it's not even happened yet, right? But it took this long for somebody to even come this close to catching up with him. It just puts in perspective how great Kareem is. The game has so much, and I mentioned, defense, people forget about it, but at the end of the day, scoring is that's what people are out there, right? To get buckets. Right. And nobody got buckets better than Kareem. That's just the truth. You know what I mean?
I'm like I said, I'm not mad at that list, right? But oh man, you need Dill's still alive, by the way, man. You need to see.
Bro,
anyways, let Steve-O, let's hear it. That's a good list. Very controversial list.
Top five centers.
That's
top five centers. Top 5 centers. So at my 5, that's where I put Will Chamberlain. 5.
Well, okay.
Will Chamberlain in 5.
Well, okay.
Pretty much we've brushed over everything these guys have done, their accolades and whatnot. But I'm putting Will Chamberlain in this position because it partially has to do with the era that he played in. Being this dominant and had passion. So he's in my top 5. He's in my top 5. He's just
right.
Top 5. So he's 5. 4 is where I put Hakeem Olajuwon. That's why I put 4. That's why I put because
same thing. Nigerian love.
You feel me? We gotta. So literally same thing. We brushed over all these accolades. This guy is proper stacked with the everything. 2 NBA titles, 4 MVPs, 7 all. We brushed all of that. So 3, Kareem is in 3. That's what Kareem.
Wow, that's
Kareem
deep.
is in. Yeah. So Kareem is top 3. Is in top 5. Was in my top 3. You feel me? Was in my top 3. Let's keep going. My second is Shaq.
Damn.
That's where I put my second. So Shaq is my second. So 5, Will Chamberlain. 4, Hakeem Olajuwon. 3, Hakeem. 2, Shaq. And my number 1 is Bill. Big Bill
Russell. Woo!
Big Bill.
Big Bill, man. We gotta show Big Bill. Big Bill some respect,
Big
man.
Bill. You know what I'm saying? Big Bill.
But
come on.
You know what? With that list, I like it. I like that list.
It's not you can just be okay. Okay.
Yeah.
When you hear the 05, you're like, okay, this is not badly
it's
arranged.
Not, yeah. I would.
If you could swap some names.
You
can swap,
positions.
right?
You can swap some
I
positions.
would say though, I think where did you have I think I like Bill, but I think you might have had him a little high, in my opinion, right? But I see where you're coming from,
right? Yeah.
Right, I see where you're coming from, right? I see, I understand why. If someone told me, I can't. It's hard to go against Bill being the number 1, except CY having him at 5. But it's hard. well, if you have Bill at number one, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's like that's the OG, right? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
That's Bill,
yeah.
right? You know.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah, man. Like, listen,
I like that.
Listen,
that's
Chamberlain, Olajuwon, Kareem, Shaq, Russell.
So I think none of us had a player that was exactly. I think the closest we had was Kareem, because I had Kareem at 5, right? And then both of you had him at 4. I had a Hakeem Olajuwon at 5, and both of you had him at 4, right? Both of you had him at 4. And then I think the Shaq issue, I had Shaq as number 1. But CY, I believe you had him at 2, and then Steve, you had
2
him
as well. I have him at
2. Right. So it seems like both of you are in alignment there, but that's a decent.
we called it at the beginning. Like there are some guys who will look at and will be like, okay, let's see where this guy is on this guy's list and where he is on this guy's list too. So
definitely don't agree with the Bill Russell. I think that's just that's mad
atrocious.
Disrespect. Like
that is atrocious.
That's like Stephen A would say that's blasphemous. That's blasphemous. But that's a tough one.
Steven, I mean, your list, I see what you kind of did there with the exception of your Shaq bias. I think you were going for like championships. You kind of went like, you know, I think you looked at that and took that into consideration.
Therefore. You know me. I like my players like, you know, like at the end of the day, when literally when we mention players that have been similar in everyone's list, that okay, percentage, but like there's like a common denominator that okay, look, this guy is well decorated, like, you know, like he's done this and this and this, like, you know, being in that position too. Like that's why if you see most of us have Shaq, like he's in the top 3, top 2,
top
you know,
2,
because
2.
like
right.
era, his accolades, all these things, you know, they play an important role in you placing them where you place them.
Well, one thing I'd say is that we're all in alignment with the top 5. Like they belong in that list. It's just a matter of where do you put them, right? So that's the good thing. I think the next one we talk about, that's going to be controversial. From where we go to like power forward, small forward, shooting guards, and point guard. That's where the real
of all time.
So for those ones, right, we'll probably talk about like we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it later. I'll let you guys know what the info. But yeah, this has been a great episode. This was a good first debate. Ever episode, Top 5 Sports Podcast, and you guys are my first host, so I appreciate that.
Hey,
not first host, first guest. I appreciate that. To many more
50,000, 100 billion more episodes.
Hey man, listen. The more they play, the more we talk, man. So
yeah.
I appreciate you guys.
Top five.
Guest, top 5. So
top 5.
Make sure you guys, if you like this video, click the like button, and if you want to see more content, hit the subscribe button. And I appreciate you guys.
Subscribe, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's gonna be somewhere around there. Yeah.
Let's go.
I appreciate you guys, and God bless, man. One love.
All right,
appreciate it.
Peace.
Bless.